Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle with Alfonzo Rachel, and this is the Virtue Signal, where we try to talk about things other than kind of modern hardcore politics, try to get to some of the things underneath the surface. And it may not be known to you out there watching, but Zoe and I have been working on a project, animated project, which is basically going to be about two knights that enter into a dungeon, and the dungeon is the Democratic National Committee headquarters, and we go in there and slay all these monsters. It's just a tiny little clip for you to see. It's really this is just the very beginning. But in any event, Zoe, I thought it might be a fun thing to talk about this idea of chivalry, since you and I have just been wearing suits of armor for so long, and we probably will be for another couple, 3 months, even if it's digital armor. Let's talk about this idea of chivalry. We can start with the kind of the narrow definition, which is sort of the warlike definition, right? Chivalry is such a respect for your opponent that you are willing to that you would rather play by the rules than have an easy win or an easy kill. So a classic example of chivalry in combat would be an example that happened more than once, but let's take in the First World War, where you've got these two guys in a life or death struggle doing their very, very best to put a bullet through each other's heart. And then all of a sudden, one of their guns jams. Can't fire. And so the other pilot pulls on alongside, realizes that the guy can't shoot back, tosses him a salute, peels off. That's the textbook definition of chivalry, at least military chivalry. The idea that if your opponent cannot fight back, then there not only is there no glory in killing him, it's just dishonorable. That's the word I'm looking for. So there is a quality of chivalry that is really magnificent. Some people would look at something like that and say, "Oh, it's Marquis of Queensberry rules, and war isn't like that," and it's not. But I happen to hold chivalry in very high regard. I think it's a sign of something that helps clean up what can be nasty business.
Indeed, man. And chivalry, you want to have that good sportsmanship, man. You don't want to be a bully, right? You don't want to be a bully or anything like that. And you see somebody's at a disadvantage. You don't want to take advantage of their disadvantage. I mean, and one has to really make a judgment call on what the implications of that are. If you let somebody slide like that. I think the greatest example of chivalry is going to be God himself. Even after the flood of Noah's day, God says, "Look, man, I'm gonna make a deal with you. I'm just gonna let you know that whenever you see clouds gather, just know that I'm about to kill everybody because I'm right to." Right? I've got some justice to that, but I'm going to stay my hand. I'm going to see that rainbow. And this isn't something where, hey, God made a rainbow and this explains why the rainbow is here. That's not how that works. But it's a reminder to him. It's like, yes, even God post-its, right? To remind himself. That's why he knows everything, because he's got reminders everywhere. But he's going to say, I'm not going to kill you because I see that. You guys are at a great disadvantage. Now, I'm going to do you one even better, right? Just to show you how much I'm not looking to take advantage of your weaknesses. I will come as one of you, right? I will go ahead and come to you as meek as anybody that you can find. Now, show me how chivalrous you can be. Show me your idea of, I see that you guys are going to hang me up on this cross. Nice display of mercy on your part. You humans who brag about your sense of mercy and your benevolence and what it is that you can do for everybody else. While I've been going around healing disease, which Caesar didn't, making sure people are fed. I was conquering all these little problems. I wasn't just bringing some war. I was bringing a war against disease. I was bringing a war against hunger. I was bringing a war against blindness, deafness, and all that sort of stuff. What was your king doing? I don't think he was doing anything. But where's his mercy? I'm going to show you mine. So that for me is like a real, show of chivalry. And now that he's done that, it's like, now next time when I come back, you're going to miss that chivalry that I could have shown you.
Yeah, absolutely. In modern times, really, given the nature of war and how impersonal war becomes, really the great examples, and they're dwindling, of chivalry in kind of the public square is as you mentioned, it's sportsmanship. And sportsmanship is just essentially a form of chivalry. Sportsmanship. I'll take an example. There was an example where somebody, they're running a long distance race and a runner collapses. And then one of the other runners stops and helps them up, and they, cross the finish line together. Now, we did this story 10 years ago back at PJTV. And a lot of people said, no, that's, you shouldn't, that's just losing and so on. So it just got a lot of froth over it. But I realize that's because for so long we've been told that we must do these things, right? You must stop and pick up. So that's not what happened. That was a person who had a chance to win the race, who voluntarily, on their own, internally, without any coercion whatsoever, decided that the race was not as important as the racers. And pretty much every example of sportsmanship, good sportsmanship, comes down to that. It comes down to, I have so much respect for the rules and for the game that I am going to give up. It's not that I'm going to give up a chance to have a victory. I'm going to give up a victory I've already got. And I'm going to put it back down on the table because it wasn't earned fairly. It wasn't earned according to the rules of the game. And that is a very noble thing. It says a lot about a person. It speaks to a person's kind of honesty. It speaks to their internal morality. It speaks to their humility. And everywhere I see sportsmanship, and I know virtually every American that certainly would be watching this show feels the same way, that anytime they see an open act of sportsmanship, they just feel good, real good. And it can be something unbelievably small, like in a football game, some linebacker just, creams a running back, just knocks him back down. And then he reaches over and gives him a hand and pulls him back to his feet. Little things like that. It shows respect, and it shows concern, and it shows that there is something above competition that makes competition worthwhile.
That's right, man. And I guess at the end of the day, it's what can you live with? Can you live with that? This event that happened, it's you're going to sacrifice this for your image, and maybe not even so much just your image, but your conscience. How about your conscience and stuff like that? Wouldn't it be great if that kind of sportsmanship, if you what was, as the saying goes, a guilty conscience, or a clean conscience sleeps in thunder or something like that. But wouldn't that be nice if it translated into things like our presidency? It's like, man, how do you sleep? Are you able to, where is your sense of sportsmanship? You took, talk about taking advantage. It's funny that, these liberals and these Democrats, they love to talk, they curse opportunism, right? If you're opportunistic, and being opportunistic isn't a bad thing, but it certainly can be abused. And this is a gross offense of perverted opportunism. So where's that sportsmanship? And it's not being, taught. They're more being taught these things in our indoctrination camps, from elementary school to high school to college. And people are being conditioned, to accept things like this. It's even bad sportsmanship is okay as long as the ends justify the means, and as long as you made somebody else, like us, out to be the real villains because we're capitalistic, patriotic, racist, homophobic. These are the real, people. This prejudice that we've heaped onto them, that's what you should be worried about. But this right here, don't even sweat that. But this right, even though it's very obvious, they can't hide it. It's like, you can't hide this. But that's okay. They've made a greater evil. So that's why they can get away with it.
Yeah, one of the things that makes it so hard to fight against progressives in this culture war and this information war is that for most of us, it's inconceivable that somebody could do something that evil on purpose. We just can't get our heads around it. And this is why we constantly get walloped. because we cannot comprehend that somebody would do something that low intentionally. And we're almost like Charlie Brown in the football, right? It's like again and again and again and again and again and again, they take advantage of our decency. Look, it's a fundamental difference between the way you're built, right? Some people would rather win at any cost, and other people would say that I would rather lose by the rules than win by cheating. To the other side, that's incomprehensible. What do you mean? You're saying that if you could cheat and win and get away with it, you wouldn't do it? No, I wouldn't do it. What? It's a fundamental difference. So let's close this out with kind of the sort of the romantic idea of chivalry, right? So you'll rarely now, but you'll still hear something along the lines of when you open a door for a woman, or you walk on the street side of the sidewalk, or you do any of these little things, you'll hear people refer to that as very chivalrous. Back in the King Arthur kind of roots of this word, at least in terms of the culture, it was the idea that the knight in armor, the strongest, wealthiest, by the way, most powerful guy, is completely in the service of the lady of the court, right? She drops her handkerchief and I'll go off, and you want the capstone from the Great Pyramid? Well, then by golly, that's what I'm going to go do. Modern feminism is utterly opposed to this idea. And I don't want to get into the whole transgendered athletes thing or so on, but they're opposed to the idea because the idea, how many times have you been on an airplane and seen a relatively small woman struggling to put a big bag up into the overhead compartment, right? And every time I see that, I'm going to just get up and do it because I'm stronger than she is, and I'm much taller in a lot of these cases. And it's a thing to do. And many women appreciate this, but many women also look at this as like it's condescending. It's just assuming we're the weaker sex. Well, you are. I'm not saying you're the weaker sex in terms of morality or emotionality. I'm just saying physically, I can handle this bag better than this woman can. And that is anathema to them. They can't stand it. And so when you look at young people today, this idea of chivalry is just gone. And worse than that, after seeing so many movies where Hollywood's idea of female empowerment is to have a 5'2" woman just basically knock unconscious 6'3" guys who weigh 250 pounds, just punch them out. They're breeding out of the culture the idea that you never hit a woman ever. You just don't hit a girl. Right. When I was growing up, I was told you never hit a girl, and you never hit people with glasses either. That was something that was drilled into my head. Why not? He hit me first. Yeah, but he's wearing glasses. Why can't I hit him? Because you could knock the glass into his eyes. You get it? It's not so hard. And all of these things, all of these, chivalry is a constriction upon our baser instincts. It's an adherence to higher ideals, and it is being actively attacked pretty much on all sides, to the point where now most young people don't even know the word or what it means.
Definitely, man. And the thing is with this women's, empowerment, like you talk about, with women in these movies, kind of giving this, this false narrative. I've taught martial arts, and I've taught women, and I could say that, sure, if this is what you devoted your life to, right? If this is what you did, like constantly, yeah, you'd probably have a chance against, a couple of guys, who kind of had this, even the same skill set as you. You might have a chance. But that kind of stuff is like, no, I'm not saying that you couldn't. My job is to increase your chances. Right. At best, against maybe like a single attacker or something like that. But if this is something that you totally devoted your life to, that's a whole nother thing. But these women who want to have careers and things like that, or, get out there and conquer the world and do the same thing that man does in heels and take on climb the ladder and all that sort of stuff, you're not going to have that kind of time to devote your life to martial arts study to where you can do that. Can women take a lot of abuse? Yeah, they could take a lot of pain. They give birth. So it's like, I'm pretty sure they can handle, getting punched. I've seen it. I've seen, unfortunately, I've seen situations where, women have been greatly abused, I've more than I care to even remember. But to dish it out the same way, no. And I think a lot of women resent that. And one of the reasons why they lean on the movies to do that is because maybe it's their way to kind of experience that in a small way.
It's wish fulfillment.
It's wishful. And, it doesn't lead to a good place. It just doesn't. I think a lot of, these women, they don't appreciate the value, because that's really what it comes down to. It's not, I'm not doing this just because, and the fact is, yeah, we are physically stronger, but it's not just because of that. It's because we value you. Believe it or not, we actually value you, and we want to show some respect. And respect is like, hey, I don't know you, you don't know me, but in this moment, I would like to do something for you. Let me do that. Can I hold the door for you? Can I lift the bag up for you? Just as a show of human decency or anything like that. But the problem is more and more we're becoming a culture where women don't really value themselves. You can't really value yourself when you're telling somebody that they can't misgender you. I'm sorry, did you misgender me? You don't even value, and it's like, even if you are a woman who hasn't bought into that, but you got—
No, not a woman, a birthing person.
Right, a birthing.
Let's get it straight. Let's get it straight.
I stand corrected. But you see how crazy the narrative is. Therefore, they're emboldening people to allow them to forfeit in the name of feminism. I'm going to allow people to subtract their femininity. So where's the value? So because of this lack of value that they have on themselves, they're going to project that onto us and not allow us to show value to them. These people are bullied. They'd have no idea what chivalry is. You can't be, but they want people to take care of each other. We're supposed to be our brother's keeper in their selective lean on scripture, but they can't even show chivalry to a flipping baby, right? It's like, you have no mercy. This kid is at a total disadvantage, which, and their excuse is going to be, well, it's not fully developed. And who's stopping that? Where's their equity in being allowed to even develop? You're going to deprive them of that too. It's totally antithetical to chivalry, but these people will try to tell you that they're the champions of it.
I saw on TikTok, a 23-year-old woman or something say, I'm a former fetus and I wish you had aborted me. These are the champions of what we're facing. So the thing that's actually most telling about all of this are those feminists who feel that holding a door for a woman or helping them with their bags is condescending and a sign of, as you said, they're treating it like we don't respect them, when it's precisely the opposite. But here's the newsflash for feminists: I don't just hold the door for ladies out on dates. I hold the door for everybody. I do it all the time. Mm-hmm. And I can't count the number of times in a month that I'll go into some building and some guy will hold the door for me. Not like, Your Majesty, you know what I mean? But if I'm 3 steps behind him, right, he'll hold the door. And it's like, it's this kind of chivalrous behavior is part of civility. It's part of the lubrication that keeps, people happy in society. And this is the thing that they don't seem to understand. It's like, well, you're just doing this because you think I'm a small woman. No, I do it for anybody. I do it for everyone. Now, that's not to say that there isn't misogyny and condescension. Mm-hmm. And it's not to say that there's not racism either, but I often wonder how much of the perceived racism is just simple actions that happen to everyone all the time. I remember once I was talking to this black guy and he said, man, this guy cut me off, in traffic, it's just sign of how racist he is. And I thought, I get cut off in traffic all the time, mm-hmm. Now, that's not to say that all of these things are imaginary, but I do wonder about how many of them are. And, can't we all just get along?
Wouldn't that be? I mean, in the immortal words of Rodney King, But the funny, it's like, you're gonna go to that. Did the person like kind of pull up beside you, or somehow like Google you or whichever your plates, or I don't know what he did to make a determination that you're black, and then decided that he wanted to go ahead and just be a jerk to you on the road? It's just like you said,
yeah,
man.
That's right.
Chances are that's just how they drive. It ain't got nothing to do with your color.
No kidding.
Right?
Yeah, no, I would never cut in front of a white guy, but a black guy on the freeway,
right?
Yeah,
but. The thing is, what's sad though, is what people will dismiss as evil. You know, it's like, you know that's evil, right? And you know that is not chivalrous. You know that that's totally bullying, but they don't see it somehow and will just try to make some other narrative to point to somebody else as not being chivalrous. And the people who do that are just often the biggest bullies themselves.
That's right. Yep. Back when I was younger, and a much worse person than the shining example you see before you now, when I was driving in LA traffic, if anybody tried to cut in front of me, cut the line kind of thing, I'm like 2 inches away from the bumper in front of me. Get back there, pal. You're not gonna get in front of me. Now I just slow down and let them in. I think, come on. I do this all the time, and I'm much happier person on a daily basis. So that's something to think about, because that's a form of chivalry as well. This show is made possible by the members at BillWhittle.com, and we'd love to have you join the family if you'd like. And just go to BillWhittle.com, click on the Become a Member link, or if you don't want to do the membership thing, just hit the one-time donation button. That helps an awful lot too. For my friend Alfonzo Rachel, I'm Bill Whittle, and we will see you next time on The Virtue Signal.